Welcome, ZASLOW Show 2.0. It is a Wednesday, the 12th of July. Good to have you aboard. We are a Blue Wire podcast presented as always by the title sponsor of everything, ZASLOW Show 2.0, Anidjar and Levine, accident attorneys. I don't send you to anyone else. If you're dealing with an injury from an accident, I send you to where you're going to be treated like family. The title sponsor of ZASLOW Show 2.0, Anidjar and Levine, accident attorneys, 800-747-FREE, 800-747-3733. Really happy to have you with us here as we're right smack in the middle of the week. Well, we're almost into the weekend. Why do we like this weekend? Because the sports begin to pick up again. You got nothing tonight, all right? Tonight, commonly referred to as Black Wednesday. Last night, you had the All-Star game. The night before, at least, you had the Home Run Derby. So we do have a bunch of things still to get to today. We're going to talk to my man, former co-host Brett Romberg's going to join the show. Not why I'm wearing the University of Miami Hurricanes shirt today. Just kind of felt like it. But Romberg's going to come on the show today because I want to have a former player on who I could talk to a little bit about what happened at Northwestern. Pat Fitzgerald fired a couple days ago for cause. He says he didn't know what was going on. Hard to believe that he didn't know what was going on. If he didn't know what was going on, is that reason enough right there to fire him? How prevalent is this type of hazing? There's all types of hazing going on. We talked about that, from doing chores, carrying bags, that kind of stuff. That's going to happen. And I think that stuff is perfectly fine. But when you're talking about the naked, the sexual stuff, where do we draw the line here? I think regular people know where to draw the line. But I want to get a former player on, so Romberg, and I specifically want to get a former football player on, so Romberg can describe to us just how far is too far. And so we'll talk a little bit about that stuff with him. All right, so we'll get to that. We got some fun stuff today and big deal, not a big deal. But first, let's do a little bit on the All-Star last night. Overall, All-Star game was fun. National League wins. Elias Diaz with a home run in, I think in the top of the 8th inning that gave the National League the lead, gave them the lead for good. They wind up winning the game. They win the All-Star for the first time since 2012. They had lost 9 consecutive All-Star games, I believe it was. 2012, the first time that they win since then. The American League had been dominant. Now, they don't still do it for a home field advantage. That went away. Now, I didn't know this. I didn't know this until after the game. And it was in the bottom of the ninth. I forget who it was for the American League, but hit a shot to the warning track, which almost tied the game. I mean, Kevin Burkhart's voice, really got going. No, it wasn't Kevin Burkhart. Kevin Burkhart did the studio part. I don't think he did the play-by-play. Anyway, that's not important. But his voice, the inflection, it looked like it may have been gone. Warning track power. So the National League wins. Craig Kimbrell closes things out. Luis Arraez, by the way, 2 for 2 with an RBI. He was an early candidate for MVP. 2 for 2 with an RBI. But obviously, it goes to Elias Diaz, 2-run home run. They wind up winning the game, the National League. Anyway, so I didn't know this until after the game ended. And I don't think I was tricked by the internet. But apparently, if the game was tied after the 9th inning, they don't keep going. You remember the one year you had the disaster, Bud Selig's in there, I don't know what to do. And then you ended up having the game matter for home field advantage. Now, I never cared for it. Like, I didn't really mind one way or the other, but I didn't really care for home field advantage being decided with the World Series. I think the way it should be decided is, the way NBA does it and the way the NHL does it. The American League team or the National League team that has the better record gets home field advantage. It really ain't that hard. So, and the way that they used to do it was American League 1 year, National League, American League, National League. You just do it with the team that has the better record. It really ain't that complicated. So, anyway, the point being, I didn't realize, I think this is true. I don't think I got tricked by the internet. If the game was tied after the 9th inning, they go to a home run derby? Is that true? I mean, maybe I'm not paying enough attention, but apparently each side picks 3 players who get 3 swings, and home run derby, the leader right there, that's who wins the All-Star game. Is that what would have happened if it was tied after the 9th inning? I mean, eventually that's going to happen, right? So, anyway, I was not aware of that. Luis Arraez, he showed out, though. 2 for 2. Hit machine, man. Gives those Tony Gwynn vibes, right? Luis Arraez. Because we're talking super high batting average. And, like, he's a singles hitter. You know, he hit for power. He's only got 2 home runs on the season, I believe. Get those Tony Gwynn vibes. You can have a lot worse vibes than Tony Gwynn vibes out of Luis Arraez. Anyway, so All-Star was fun last night. I watched most of the game. I wasn't necessarily planning on it. Watched almost the whole game. I was very annoyed with the beginning of the game. Derek Jeter. He sucks. So you got Derek Jeter on the pregame studio show there with Poppy and A-Rod and Kevin Burkhardt. And just everything is so phony. He's got no personality. Like, you've learned by now, the reason Jeter never showed any personality when he was playing, it wasn't so much to never give the soundbite. It's because he has no personality. He's a dud. And so Jeter, and this was sent to me by my man Andrew on Twitter, at ZASLOW Show. I'm on Twitter. You guys can always hit me up at ZASLOW Show. You can hit me up on Instagram as well, at ZASLOWJ. I'm an influencer there. Love when you guys hit me up. Anyway, so my man Andrew sent the clip to me, Jeter in the pregame, and they're talking to Jeter about, you know, the surprise teams. And he's listing like 4 or 5 teams, doesn't list the Marlins. How do you not list the Marlins? They have the 4th best record in baseball, 2nd best record in the entire National League. The Marlins are the surprise of baseball right now. Jeter doesn't even mention them. Gives you like 4 or 5 other teams, and you know why he doesn't mention the Marlins? Because he got fired by the Marlins. They could talk all they want about him stepping down, his stupid statement. You got fired. You were a bum as president of the Marlins. A bum. And no one seems to want to talk about it. It really bothers the hell out of me that it's this big secret. But man, like, wouldn't you think, I mean, if Jeter did a halfway decent job, wouldn't you think that you mention the Marlins? Because you're going to get all your Jeter sycophants who are going to latch on to it saying, yeah, you see what you created there in your 5 years? Look at them now. 2nd best record in the National League. No, he can't even mention the best story in baseball, Luis Arraez and the Miami Marlins. And they're doing it without Jazz Chisholm for most of the year so far, which leads us to the next thing, which is super annoying, about Jeter. So, the starters of the All-Star game yesterday, Garrett Cole for the American League, Zach Gallen for the National League. And why is this interesting? Well, Zach Gallen, former Marlin. Derek Jeter traded Zach Gallen to Arizona in the deal that brought the Marlins Jazz Chisholm. Now, I don't want to make this about Jazz. Jazz is a fine player. He's not great. He's a fine player. He's a really good piece for this team now because he's not their best player anymore. That's a good role for him when he could just fit in and do Jazz stuff. He's a fine player. Derek Jeter's best move as president of the Miami Marlins was acquiring Jazz Chisholm. He's made awful moves, awful signings, awful moves with in the international market. You saw yesterday, I mean, they're going to release Victor Mesa. Derek Jeter spent $5 million on that kid to not be a major league player. Zero skill in evaluating talent. And the one good move, the best move that Derek Jeter made was acquiring Jazz Chisholm. And the guy he gave up for Jazz Chisholm, and he wasn't even a prospect, he was pitching for the Marlins. The guy he gave up for Jazz Chisholm started the All-Star game last night for the National League. That was Jeter's best move. It included giving away last night's National League starting pitcher. See, it'd be one thing if his worst move was trading away Zach Gallen. That would almost be acceptable. But it's even worse when your best move. This was his best trade. It was his best signing. It was his best move that he made with the Marlins. Derek Jeter's, like, how awful do you have to be if your best move was trading away Zach Gallen? He was the worst. Again, it'd be one thing if it was just a terrible trade all around. Several bad trades. This was the worst, though. No, Jeter's best move with the Marlins still saw him give away the National League starting pitcher last night, Zach Gallen. He was, just an all-time worst executive. And who knows how many years he set back this Marlins franchise. I'm sure, we're lucky that they're good right now. But who knows how much further along they'd be if Derek Jeter never stepped foot here in South Florida. He was fired. He got fired. And they're like, all right, well, we're going to let you save face. You'll write a letter. You're stepping down. No one has ever described Derek Jeter's exit from the Marlins. No story has come out. They've kept a lid on it because he was fired. And they're trying to allow Jeter to save face, even though he shouldn't be allowed to save face because he's as big a phony you've ever seen in baseball. I hate his guts. I really do. And he's awful on television. Awful. He's almost as bad as if you had a leak in your home and you didn't know what to do. Luckily, you know exactly what to do if you find a leak in your home. And that's called Water Cleanup of Florida. 954-900-8635. You're going to get immediate assistance. My boys, the Greensteins, we're talking over 60 years of combined experience. The team at Water Cleanup of Florida handles all types of leak detection issues. After the leak is located and repaired, this is my favorite part. Water Cleanup of Florida then cleans, dries, and fully restores all of the damaged areas. You don't bring in other contractors. Water Cleanup of Florida handles the entire project from start to finish. They service the entire Tri-County area, Miami-Dade, Broward, Palm Beach counties. Call or text Water Cleanup of Florida, 954-900-8635. You could also go to WCUFL.com. Check out more than 80 five-star reviews if you go on Google. Water Cleanup of Florida, 954-900-8635. Water Cleanup of Florida, we clean up your schmutz. So today's Wednesday, Black Wednesday, commonly referred to, day after the All-Star. You're going to see when you turn on the television, you turn on ESPN today, they got some special programming. They're doing the V Foundation, all of that stuff. Best Girl, Amber Wilson, is co-hosting today from noon to 3. So I don't know when you're listening to the show, but you can always go back and listen. And they're doing the V Foundation stuff where, you can bid on items, you can donate money. All the proceeds, all of it goes to Cancer Research V Foundation, Jimmy Valvano, who you're going to see the speech. I love it every year. They play the speech on ESPN. It's the greatest speech. What a speech. You laugh, you cry. That's a full day. What a speech. And he was so sick. You could see I tell this every year, where he has to be helped up and down off the steps at the ESPYs by Mike Krzyzewski and Dick Vitale. The best part when his speech was long. Best speech ever. Speech is long. And he tells you how the guy behind the teleprompter, guy behind the camera, is telling him to wind it down, and he stops mid-speech. I got cancer eating my brain. This guy's telling me to move along. It's such a great moment. Such a great moment. Amazing speech, best speech ever. So I really enjoy seeing that speech once a year, watching it today on ESPN. So make sure you check out some of their programming. And like I said, if you haven't listened, if it's early enough, Amber's on from 12 to 3 today, and she's obviously a cancer survivor. And I remember, obviously I remember her going through all of it. I remember the exact moment when she told me that she had cancer. And I guess I'm really lucky because I don't have, like last night at the All-Star game, they do the stand up to cancer and everyone is standing up and they're all holding up the signs who they're standing up for cancer for. And some people are holding multiple signs. And thank you God. I'm really lucky where I don't really have a lot of people close to me who have died from cancer. I actually have a friend of mine, a childhood friend, Josh, who passed away from a 20+ year battle with cancer. He passed away a few months ago. Obviously, really sad. That was tough. But, family members, my father had a scare, got it taken care of. Otherwise, I don't, and my grandfather, when I was like 5 years old, he passed away, colon cancer, I believe it was. So I've had it affect me a little bit, but I feel like ultimately I haven't been impacted by it the way that a lot of us have. So I'm really thankful about that. And as a result, I remember so well when Amber told me that she has cancer and seeing her go through a bunch of it, and it's obviously devastating. And so, if you, I don't know what time you're listening to this, but I'm looking forward to hearing her today because I remember her, I don't know if it was last year or a couple years ago, and doing this show. And she's really inspiring the way that she talks about it. And I think you all will really enjoy it if you catch it. So you can go check that out. I hope that you catch that. So anyway, it got me thinking, though, with Valvano, greatest speech ever, greatest speeches in sports movies, right? I have mine, but I'll give you a few that were sent to me here, right? So greatest speeches in sports movies. Got a bunch here. For instance, had Any Given Sunday is one of the first ones. Rolando sent me Any Given Sunday. You had, Romberg, who's going to join us in a few minutes. He gave me Sandy Lyle, and it's a picture of, Philip Seymour Hoffman from, what's the movie called? Where he's shooting the hoops, and the guy is all sweaty, and he's got the hair, and he sucks at basketball, though. What's that movie? Oh, Along Came Polly. I'm not sure I'm qualifying Along Came Polly as a sports movie, but anyway, you got Danny who sent me this, and it's a GIF from what's it called? Remember the Titans. I do love that speech. I'm not talking about the speech where Denzel Washington they're at the field where the war was, and he's talking about black, white, you got to be brothers, you got to work together. That's not even what I'm talking about. The speech I love, and Danny sent the GIF, is when the defensive coordinator, who was the head coach, where he says, I don't want them to gain another yard. You blitz and blitz. Don't make sure they remember the night they played the Titans. I love that. I love that little speech he gives. That's the GIF he sent me. You got my man Grassman. Yo, what's up, Grassman? Sends me a GIF from Miracle where it's Herb Brooks in the locker room before the game against Russia. This is your time. Their time is done. It's over. So got a bunch here that were sent. Hoosiers was sent to me. Someone nominated Waterboy. I don't like Waterboy. Mike in West Palm sent, what's that? The Replacements. So yeah, there's a bunch of stuff here. For me, all-time greatest sports movie speech, it's Miracle. Miracle's my all-time favorite sports movie. And just that whole speech, it's your time. Their time is done. It's over. And the whole movie, the way that they did the game against the Russians, the Soviets, that speech from Herb Brooks, Kurt Russell should have won Best Actor for that movie. So you're getting the greatest speech ever. Jim Valvano, all throughout today. But for me, Herb Brooks, played by Kurt Russell in Miracle, 1980 U.S. hockey team, greatest moments in American sports history. It's not even close. Nothing's ever going to touch it. They beat the Soviets during the Cold War. It's the greatest moment in the history of American sports. Nothing will ever beat it. That's me right there. It's the greatest speech in sports movie history. Nothing is better. I don't even know. Maybe something comes close. I know everybody loves the Any Given Sunday. It's a game of inches. It's a great speech, but I told you, I rewatched the movie like a year ago, or at least I tried rewatching the movie like a year ago with my son. It's not a good movie. It's not a good movie. I'm telling you, it's not a good movie. So that kills it a little bit for me. So you can keep sending me those suggestions there. at ZASLOW Show on Twitter. But for me, it's pretty easy. Miracle is always the one that I go back to. Hey guys, I want to make sure that you're taken care of with your insurance. If you need homeowners insurance, you need car insurance, maybe for your boat, maybe for your motorcycle, and you don't know where to go. Hey, the market's confusing. You're to go on Google and search insurance, and it's like you got a million to pick from. Well, guess what? I'm going to narrow it down for you. I'm going to narrow it down to one. Brunt Insurance. Brunt Insurance and Financial Services is going to get you that comprehensive insurance and financial solutions tailored exactly to your needs. Since 2013, Brunt Insurance specializes in home, auto, life insurance. Bruntinsurance.com, 954-589-2204, from Pensacola all the way down to the Keys. Wherever you're calling from in Florida, they know your area. They have offices in Davie, in Stewart, in Lakeland. They're open 10 a to 4 p. Give them a call, 954-589-2204. So wherever you're calling from, they know exactly what type of coverage you need. I get my homeowner's insurance from Brunt Insurance. I've been with Greg Brunt and his team now for about 10 years. I get the best coverage at the most affordable rate. So if you call 954-589-2204, you're making the right call. The team at Brunt Insurance has the expertise and the experience to find exactly the right coverage for you. Bruntinsurance.com, 954-589-2204.